Hi folks, for those new to my guitar channel, my name's Stu and this channel has been for a few years a record of my guitar gear journey, having been away from performing and recording for over 40 years. So if you get the time, do check out my channel videos and equipment reviews on all the gear that I've been trying out, and you might find some of them helpful. Now in the last video of this series, I took a look at the first type of popular guitar used in blues rock in the 60s and 70s, and that was the Telecaster. So check that out if you missed it. Now in this video, coming up, number 1. I began my guitar journey back in the early 70s with a Telecaster, but very quickly moved to the Stratocaster. Number 2, an absolute icon of blues rock, the Stratocaster, and like before, a question often asked, do you really need to spend thousands to get a good one? Well, how about £65 for starters? Or of course, you could always build your own. And number 3, is the Stratocaster for you? And if you could only have one guitar, which do you think might be better, the Telecaster or the Stratocaster? And number 4, conclusion, final remarks. So without further ado, number 1. So, as I previously mentioned, my first guitar back in the early 70s was a Japanese Telecaster copy, and I loved it from the very first moment I set eyes on it. Purchased second hand, I paid £25 sterling for it, and that came with a hard shell case as well, and I could not put that guitar down. Now, at the time, I was just learning open chords and all was well. And then my joy would turn to grief. Not long after buying that guitar, I was lucky enough to come across a very good rock guitarist who was willing to give me rudimentary lessons to get me started using bar chords and lead scales. Now, he looked at my Telecaster copy with a nod of approval and asked if he could try it out, and of course I was more than happy to have this guy let me hear what my guitar sounded like in the hands of a pro and played through a Marshall stack at high volume. And that's when the fun all ended. As he played up and down the neck, he began adjusting the tuning again and again, and then he looked down the neck and he had put on a strange face every so often. He looked at it from a number of angles, and then he sighed and he said something like, "I'm really sorry, but there's a bad twist in the neck, and this is not the kind that can be resolved with just adjusting the truss rod. Now, given the cost of the guitar, it's not worth repairing or trying to get a neck that will fit. If you want to learn bar chords and lead guitar from me, you're going to need another guitar." Now, I can't tell you how bad I felt, but he gave me an introductory lesson using his guitar, a Stratocaster, and which I had to say, I really loved the look of, the sound of, and boy, that tremolo bar, it sounded just amazing. And so, through the week, with the help of my father as a guarantor, I put down my first down payment of many on a brand new Stratocaster Japanese made copy in black. Now, I loved the Telecaster, but now I love the Stratocaster even more. Number 2. So remember, this series is about classic guitar types associated with the 60s and 70s era, and specifically those types used in blues rock guitar. When I was learning, Stratocasters, they were very much sought after, and they were divided into the Leo Fender era, also known as the pre-CBS era or the CBS era. And that is when Fender was bought out in 1965. Now, as before, let me just say again that you can buy guitars made by the likes of Harley Benton and others who do a good job producing instruments that seek to emulate classic Fender and Gibson guitars at more affordable prices, and an example of which I'm going to show you shortly. So, to start, here is a custom shop Fender 50s Stratocaster. These have a chunky maple neck and fingerboard and in this case it's fitted with fat 50s pickups. Now these do have a distinctive tone and feel and do tend to lend themselves more to blues style music. Now from my personal perspective, this 50s model is an absolute joy to play and has a lot of character, but like the 50s Telecaster, I would say this is not a guitar type for everyone. It does have a very distinctive feel and you would be best to go and try one out before looking at a classic 50s style build. Another thing is, I would say that the tremolo, it can be a little bit tricky on this and trying to keep the thing in tune when using the tremolo. Here is a custom shop Fender late 64 Stratocaster, and it has a slim neck profile and a rosewood fingerboard, and it's fitted with fat 60s pickups. And yes, it's an absolute joy to play and sounds fabulous. It has a thicker tone than the 50s model. Like the 60s Telecaster, the 60s Stratocaster is a more versatile guitar, whether for clean bell-like tones or that driven hard edge for rock. This guitar will do both easily. Buddy Holly and Hank Marvin are possibly the best known advocates of the earlier Stratocasters. Later adherents such as Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton and Richie Blackmore need no introduction. So here I have a Fender Stratocaster Professional USA model. This 2019 build is certainly a lot less expensive than the custom shop guitars and is a modern take of the 60s era Stratocaster, sporting a slim neck and rosewood fingerboard and fitted with V1 mod Tim Shaw Stratocaster pickups along with a Tim Shaw Shawbucker in the bridge, giving the guitar a bit more drive compared to the classic single coil setup. Other modern models feature belly and heel carves for added comfort, but for many a die-hard Stratocaster fan, that again is a modern touch too far. This style of Stratocaster, because of the modern neck profile, it does feel different from the 60s era correct custom shop model. However, it's a nice guitar to play and it has that typical Stratocaster bell-like chime. From an entry-level perspective and staying with Fender, there is the Fender authorised Chinese-built Squire Stratocaster debut model for less than £130 brand new. It's a lot of guitar for your money. And in the previous video, you can see that I bought the Telecaster debut version, so do check that out if that is of interest. Now when it comes to entry-level guitars, how about £65 for this very fetching Blueburst Glary S-style guitar? Put a decent set of strings on it, give the back of the neck a rub down with some fine sandpaper, give the frets a polish, and it's actually a surprisingly good guitar given the cost. Now in the previous Telecaster video I showed you a T-style guitar that I built using parts sourced from various vendors, and the result was a guitar that easily rivaled a Fender custom shop model. It plays beautifully, looks fabulous and cost a lot less than a standard USA Fender. And if you want to build a Stratocaster style guitar, Stratocaster type parts are readily available, so do check that video if you are thinking about building your own guitar and this is something that you just quite fancy having a go at. So number 3, is the Stratocaster for you? And which is better, the Telecaster or the Stratocaster? Well, for me, these two iconic guitar types, they've got their own sound, they've got their own feel. When you have a Telecaster in your hand, you play differently from when you have a Stratocaster in your hand. Real or imagined, there's something about these two iconic guitars that just cause you to approach them differently. Now, of course, the obvious differences are that the Stratocaster is molded to your body instead of being a slab of wood in regard to the Telecaster body. It also has this fabulous whammy bar, and I have to say on the 60s Stratocaster here, the whammy bar on this is really good. This guitar really does stay in tune very well. So I do like that about this. Of course, you've got 3 pickups along with a 5-blade switch where you can get those wonderful out-of-phase style bell-like chime tones in positions 2 and 4. Now, once again, customization of Stratocasters, it was very common in the 60s and 70s. Folks did all kinds of modifications, and Fender itself would go on to produce all manner of limited run models So you will find that there's some good books available on that topic. Now, for those of you who have not experienced the Stratocaster, you need to get along to a music store and try them out for yourself. Once again, as with the Telecaster models, the 50s, 60s, 70s era and more modern Stratocaster models do have their own feel and sound, so be sure to try out a selection. And number 4, conclusion, final remarks. So once again, yes, you can just about use any guitar to play most genres of music, but this video series is specifically about those interested in what gear was typically used back in the early days, giving you that early days vibe. Is the Stratocaster for everyone? Well, despite it's one of the most copied shapes of electric guitar body, there are folks that don't really get on with the classic Fender model types and prefer something more in line with what would be termed as a super Strat style, manufactured by the likes of Ibanez, Suhr or PRS. Now, all being well, in the next video we take a look at another iconic guitar and the various models available that you may want to consider. So do check out my channel playlist, where you'll find many videos regarding my journey back to playing and recording guitar after a 40-year break. Lots of stuff on guitars, amplifiers, pedals, and my ongoing recording journey. As always, I'd like to say a big thank you to those who do take time to comment or chat and you subscribe and tell other people about the channel. I really do appreciate that. I always take time to engage with folks who take time to comment, so please do comment below. Until next time, take care.